Have you ever wondered why some guys just walk into a room and seem to command it without even saying a word? It's a fascinating question, right? And the answer, a lot of the time, isn't in what they say, but in the powerful, subtle world of nonverbal cues. Today, we're going to dive deep into the body language of status. All right, so let's start with a term I'm sure you've heard thrown around everywhere, from social media to movies: the alpha male. We all kind of have this image of a super dominant, assertive guy at the top of the food chain, but what does science actually have to say about this? Well, here's the punchline. When you try to apply that concept to human beings, scientists pretty much agree it's a myth. It's a massive oversimplification of how we actually interact. So if it's a myth, where on earth did this whole idea even come from? Okay, so the term itself actually has its roots in the study of animal behavior. Researchers looking at dominance hierarchies in wolf packs and chimpanzee troops. But somewhere along the way, this idea got lifted from the animal kingdom and, well, mistakenly slapped onto human society. And this jump didn't happen overnight. It was a slow burn. Back in '82, a famous book called Chimpanzee Politics started drawing some parallels. Then, by the '90s, you had the media calling successful CEOs alphas. Fast forward to the 2000s, and the whole concept got super popular in pickup artist circles and later all over online men's communities, cementing it as this simplified and, let's be honest, often toxic ideal we see today. So, if the whole alpha-beta thing is a bust for humans, what's actually going on? Well, evolutionary psychologists have a much better model. It's called the dual strategies theory, and it basically says there are two very different paths to gaining social status. And the difference between these two strategies is everything. I mean, it's night and day. On one side, you've got dominance, where status is taken by force and makes people afraid. And on the other side, you've got prestige, where status is earned and freely given by others because they respect you. Once taken, the other's given. Let's look a little closer at dominance. This is the ancient, old-school strategy. You see it all over the animal kingdom. It's all about gaining power through bullying and intimidation. And yeah, it can work for a while, but leading through fear is super unstable. Why? Because people can always team up to take you down. Prestige, though, seems to be a uniquely human thing, and this is where it gets really interesting. It's not about taking power, it's about earning respect. People give you status because you have valuable skills, you know your stuff, or you're known for being generous. That kind of influence is way more stable because it's built on admiration, not fear. So, how do these two paths, dominance and prestige, actually show up in the real world? Well, a lot of the time, they're communicated without a single word being spoken. They have their own distinct and very recognizable body language, and these nonverbal signals are incredibly powerful. Now, the differences here are subtle, but man, are they powerful. Research shows that both strategies use an expanded posture, taking up space to look bigger. But the key is in the details. Dominance is signaled with a head tilted down and a serious, maybe even scowling face. Prestige, on the other hand, is signaled with a slight upward head tilt and a small, genuine, confident smile. And this distinction matters a lot. As cognitive scientist Scott Barry Kaufman puts it, when you actually look at what people find attractive, it overwhelmingly points towards prestige. The ideal isn't some aggressive, demanding guy. It's someone who is assertive and kind. In other words, a prestigious person, not a dominant one. Okay, so let's get practical. How can you actually start to build the body language of a confident, high-status presence? Because this stuff isn't magic. It's a skill. And like any skill, it can be learned and practiced. So why is this so critical? Well, get this. There's some famous research that suggests up to 93% of all our communication is nonverbal. That's insane. It means how you stand, move, and express yourself can totally change how people see you, sometimes way more than your actual words. Here is a super simple but crazy effective technique. It's called the executive entrance. 3 steps. First, walk with purpose, like you know where you're going and why. Second, when you get there, plant your feet about shoulder width apart. It literally makes you feel and look more grounded. And finally, the most important part, pause. Before you say anything, just take a beat. Connect with the room. That pause is part of this awesome concept called temporal control. Put simply, the person in charge is in charge of time. They don't rush, they set the pace, they take their time answering questions, they control how they speak. It's a massive, massive signal of confidence. You see this control of time in how great speakers talk. Leaders like Winston Churchill and Martin Luther King Jr. were masters of the pause. It commands attention. They spoke with a measured, deliberate cadence, they weren't rushing, and they absolutely avoided uptalk. You know that habit of ending a sentence with your voice going up? It makes you sound like you're asking a question, and it completely kills your authority. You know, this all really boils down to a crucial shift in your mindset. A confident person isn't desperately trying to convince you of anything. They're just there to convey information. They state it clearly, and that's it. This one little shift changes your entire approach from seeming needy to being authoritative. At the end of the day, though, all these techniques are really just external reflections of your internal state. The goal